Hey guys, how's it going? Brandon here and welcome back you guys to another Pokemon Team Builder. Today we are finishing off our reimagined, remastered Team Builders for Generation 3. Ruby, Sapphire and Emerald, of course, going through with Blaziken, Torchic, Combuskin, all that good stuff. But before we get this underway, quick disclaimer, this is opinion-based. If you want to change anything about the teams, then go ahead and do so. Remember that we don't use version exclusives, we don't use trade evolutions, and I don't duplicate mons across teams. So if there is a Pokemon in here that you think should be in here that isn't, make sure to check out the other team builders. It's possibly in there. But of course, if you want to do if you do want to use something, then of course go ahead and do so. That's the whole point of this. Is that I'm just giving you guys a basis idea of what I think you could use, what's good, what's not good, all that sort of good stuff. Without further ado, let's get into this. But before we do, quick surprise, bringing something back for you guys that a lot of you guys actually been asking for in the comment section below. A lot of you guys say when there isn't HMs and stuff on the team, what do I do, what do I use? So I thought I would bring this concept back. I did put it in the team builders a little while ago. So the HMs, slaves that I use throughout the game, of course, if you want to put the HMs on your team and use them in your main team members, that's completely up to you. I don't like to use other moves other than like Strength, Fly, Surf, Waterfall maybe in the late generations. So the main ones that I use here are mainly Tentacruel and Linoon. Tropius is there if you do need a Fly slave and a Flash slave, really. So Tentacruel is always a must, especially for Waterfall and Dive. I feel like Surf, you should only ever have Surf on your water types. Never have Waterfall or Dive, they're not needed. So always get a Tentacruel, you can get them really early. A Linoon is really nice. You get Zigzagoon early on, and you can use Zigzagoon for the first part for things like Cut and Strength, Cut, Rock Smash, and I think even Surf. And then before Fortress City, you can actually catch Wild Linoon, which is then you can use Cut, Strength, Rock Smash, Surf. Like I say, Tropius is also on that route as well. Route, should I say. Flash, Fly, Strength, and Rock Smash for Tropius as well. So all really good HM slaves that you guys can use in the games. But without that further ado, obviously, let's get into this team. Up first then, you guys, of course, is going to be our starter, which in this case is going to be Blaziken. As you can see from the layout, we're going for something quite different now. I want to up the watch time on these videos. Something that was lacking recently on these videos is people haven't been watching them. So you sat there right now listening to me talk. I would very much appreciate it if you sat and actually listened to what I have to say, because I like to talk and go in depth about this sort of stuff. It's very helpful to you. I believe it's very helpful. When I sit and go through the team in depth, I explain everything and why you should use it, everything else, I explain it. That way I don't have to do it in the comment section for the next months on end of people asking me questions, because if you sit and you watch the video, I'll explain 99% of the questions that you're going to ask. So, Blaziken, of course, location is our starter. That's why the alternatives for this are Swampert and Sceptile. The other alternative I'm giving for Blaziken is going to be Camerupt, because it's the other mixed attacking fire type I think there is in the game. Torkoal can be a mixed attacker, but I've gone with Camerupt because I also know it's a fan favourite of people like to use. Being ground and fire, of course you run the Flamethrower and the Earthquake, which is the physical and the special. The ability you're going to get on this thing is going to be Blaze every time. Obviously hidden abilities aren't a thing yet, Speed Boost isn't a thing yet, so you're going to get Blaze on this thing. Of course we know the starters evolve at 16 to 36, pretty standard. In terms of the moveset for this thing, Flamethrower, Sky Uppercut, Return, Aerial Ace. Flamethrower and Sky Uppercut are pretty self-explanatory. You can swap up for a different fighting type move if you wish. I think Sky Uppercut, is the best option for Blaziken. You could run Brick Break, but I've put that on something else that we'll get into later on. Return, over base 1, I think it's like base 102 is max return happiness, obviously not including stab. This thing's your starter. It's going to have a lot of happiness from the get-go, which means return hits really hard. Aerial Ace, it's just a nice bit of flying coverage to have on the team. Just to have it there again. Also a move that can't miss. You got things like Sky Uppercut which can miss, so if you definitely need to get a hit off that's not going to miss, maybe a double team has happened or something, a sand attack, some of that sorts, you can click Aerial Ace and you're not going to miss. On to the nature then, we've gone with the Lonely ability for this. You don't want to lower either your attack or your special attack, so I've actually lowered its defense. Reasoning behind this is we're mainly going to be running into things like water types and psychic types that are good against this thing, which are going to hit your special defense, not your physical defense. Obviously you've got ground as well, but you won't be keeping Blaziken in against the ground type, so lowering its defense isn't going to be all that bad. It might hinder it a little bit early game because you're going to be taking things like tackles and stuff like that, which might hit a little bit hard, but nothing that should really worry you in that sense anyway. We're upping that physical attack because we've got 3 physical moves and only 1 special, And the special one is also Stab, and it's Flamethrower. And so Stab, base 110 special attack. It's going to do a lot of damage no matter what your nature is anyway. So you might as well up that base 120 attack, boost up Sky Uppercut, Return, and Aerial Ace. Blaziken's great. It's my favourite starter out of all of them. It will always be my favourite starter. I think it's amazing. It's the first team member. It's Blaziken. On to the second team member then, you guys, and if you've seen the other two team builders, you would have seen this coming by an absolute mile off. We have Gardevoir. I will sit here and state this thing is the best Pokemon in the game that you can use throughout the game. Obviously, you've got things like Rayquaza and Salamence and Kyogre, Groudon, blah, blah, blah. In terms of in-game and getting you through the game, Gardevoir is the best Pokemon in the game, period. If you guys haven't seen the Sceptile team builder let's play we did, I literally proved this theory when using Gardevoir through that let's play. It swept most of the gyms because you just run Calm Mind and it just wins. It literally become a thing of the series where it was hashtag Gardevoir just wins, because Gardevoir does just win. It's the big red button of the team. You're in trouble, you bring in Gardevoir, you click Calm Mind once, you win. That's literally it. That's all you need to do. So, of course, you get this thing as early as Route 102, so it's really early on, because we know you watch Wally catch one, so you know it's there. In terms of the movesets, we've gone, like I said, Calm Mind, Psychic, Thunderbolt, Thief, Psychic, Stab, it's not a Fairy type yet, so no Moonblast or anything, Dazzling Gleam of that sort. Thunderbolt, you're in the water region, having this thing with Thunderbolt, things die. Wallace just dies. Literally, you can sweep the champion with this thing, because it leads with Wailord, you outspeed, click Calm Mind, you swallow the Water Spout because you've got base 115 special defense at +1. You probably click it again, click a Hyper Potion, and then you just Thunderbolt Psychic the rest of its team and things just die. I think that's literally what I did in the Let's Play as well. Thief, don't put Shadow Ball on this thing. Don't do what I did all those years ago. Shadow Ball's physical, Thief is special. I know it's only base 40, but again, it's a Gardevoir with base 125 special attack. Modest nature. It's going to hit things hard if you allow it to. If you click Calm Mind once, base 40 doesn't mean jack. It's +1 Gardevoir using a super effective move if Dark is super effective. It's just going to be amazing. In terms of the movesets, in terms of the natures and stats, sorry, of course, HP, attack, defense, really don't worry about it. Attack, don't ever use physical attacks on this thing for obvious reasons. Its special defense is where it shines. It's really good special defense. Base 80 speed is fine for in-game. Again, levels, IVs, EVs all come into play with in-game speed, so that's something you don't need to worry about. Boosting that base 125 special attack means this thing hits like an absolute truck. In terms of alternatives, I am allowing trade evolutions, Bergen exclusives and stuff like that. Again, it's not what I'm telling you to use. I'm saying it's an option if you don't want to use this. So of course, the obvious option for a different Psychic type in this game is to use Alakazam. If you have access to the trade evolutions, you can use Alakazam, of course, because it's an Alakazam. It does pretty much the same thing Gardevoir does, maybe even a little better, but they're very similar in the sense they're very good special attack, very good special defense, decent speed, good coverage. It just does what it needs to do. The other alternative, I've gone with a bit of a wild one. I was thinking of Psychic types in the region. I've gone with Claydol, because why not? I was going to put Xatu in here, but then I was like, Xatu's a little bit later than Claydol, and I like Claydol. Claydol needs a little bit more love. It would be a mixed attacker, because you would run Earthquake on it, so Earthquake, Psychic, Calm Mind. Maybe you could give it Shadow Ball if you learn Shadow Ball, because again, you got physical attack. And the final alternative I've gone with is Starmie. You guys know, if you don't know how good Starmie is in-game, then you're missing out. Surf, Thunderbolt, Psychic, Ice Beam is the moveset that you need, and it will just ruin lives. It's very good if you haven't got Water type in the team and you want to use Starmie. It is quite late game though, so just keep that in mind. The ability out of the two, you've either got Synchronize or Trace. I feel like Synchronize always comes in handy a little bit more than Trace does. You can copy things every now and again, but you go up against someone like Norman and you Trace Slacking's Truant ability, you're just hindering yourself and stuff like that. And things use Yawn, and you can get paralyzed a lot and poisoned and stuff like that. I just think like Synchronize comes in more handy than Trace does. Gardevoir's amazing. I will always stand by how great this thing is in game. If you've never used this thing, of course, you're missing out. It's fantastic. It's our second team member. It is Gardevoir. Pokemon number 3 then, you guys, and we have our water type for this playthrough. I've gone with Tentacruel, of course. This thing is massively slept on in terms of just overall ability and what it actually do. Its moveset for this thing: Surf, Sludge Bomb, Ice Beam, Giga Drain. Very good coverage, very good move pool. When we were making these slides on stream, if you missed that stream, apologies. It may be something I do in the future. You may be able to catch these streams. Someone actually was very shocked at the fact that this thing can learn Giga Drain. Yes, this thing can get recovery. It's very nice. Ice Beam on a water type is a given. Stab, Sludge Bomb, and Surf, of course. Also, a reminder that Poison is physical, which is why we've gone with the mild nature. Again, I've lowered its defense because you'll see in the next team member we can lower defense. This thing's weak to ground. You should be good against ground types. You're gonna outspeed them, and most of them are also rock type, things like Graveler and stuff like that. So a Surf is gonna body them, which means you don't really need to worry about taking a ground type move because you'll probably outspeed and kill them anyway. You're also weak to Psychic, but we have base 120 special defense. That's not something to worry about. Yeah, it's already base 65 defense. It's already got bad defense, so lowering it a little bit just via nature isn't going to affect it that much that it's going to be a big deal anyway. So yeah, mild nature increases special attack. I was like, we've got 3 special attacks in Surf, Ice Beam, Giga Drain. Might as well boost it. Sludge Bomb will do just fine with base 70 attack, stab. It'll hit what it needs to hit and then move on. You're going to be using Surf most of the time with this thing anyway. Poison doesn't actually hit too much super effectively, where Surf is going to be hitting a lot more than what you're going to be using it for. Level 30, the quickest thing you can get this is in Dooford City. The second you get the old rod, you can actually fish in Dooford and get a Tentacruel, Magikarp, and Tentacruel, the only 2 options. The alternatives for this, of course, we've gone with 3 water types because it's the water type of the region. My favourite water type from this game, of course, Walrein. You guys know how much I love Walrein. I definitely think it is the best alternative. I know it is late game. I understand it is late game. There are plenty of alternatives you can use. This region is full of water types. I've just given you possibly my 3 favourites. Second one, if you don't worry about version exclusive, you're playing Emerald, Ludicolo is a very good shout. There is no grass type on the team, and actually Ludicolo synergy-wise works really well with Blaziken, because before you've even got to the 3rd city in the game, you've got your water, your grass, your fire straight off the bat because you've got a Lotad. So if you if you are playing Emerald and you're playing, I think it's exclusive to, I want to say Sapphire. I may be wrong in that. Ludicolo is an amazing shout. Possibly nearly the same moveset, Surf, Ice Beam, Giga Drain, maybe a different type move that you want to put on there. I'm not going to really go into details much about it now. And then finally, like I mentioned before, Starmie is an amazing water type to use in game. Surf, Ice Beam, Psychic, Thunderbolt is all you need, and it will absolutely wreck lives. But like I said, it is late game, and you can't actually get a Water Stone until after you get Dive, which is after the 7th gym. So again, just keep that in mind. The ability for this thing is either Liquid Ooze or Clear Body. Clear Body is going to come in more helpful than Liquid Ooze is. It's very rare something's going to click Giga Drain or Mega Drain or Absorb against you. Like these absorbing moves, it's actually going to damage it. And even when they do, the damage that you give back is very, very minimal. Where you've got things throughout the game like Team Magma Poochyana's spamming Sand Attack and stuff like that. Where if you have Clear Body, it's just not going to matter. They're not going to be able to do it, and you're going to be able to have Tentacruel in, and it's just going to be able to just not worry about its stats being lowered, which is always really nice. Of course, you don't want your stats being lowered. It's a fantastic water type. It's underrated. It's always been around and underrated in my opinion. Give it a go if you've never used a Tentacruel before. It will not disappoint you, I promise. It's our 3rd team member. It is Tentacruel. On to Pokemon number 4 then, you guys, and we have our flyer for the team. We have Skarmory. This does confirm no Salamence in these team builders. You're welcome. Yeah, Skarmory is a very underrated Pokemon in-game use. It does what it says on the tin. It's a Steel type. It resists everything and just stands there and laughs at you. So yeah, this thing is criminally underrated actually in-game. Moveset wise, I will say it's probably one of the weakest in terms of movesets, but we make do what we do. Steel Wing, Fly, Spike, Secret Power. Spike's hazards in-game is ridiculously broken, especially against the Elite Four. You can sit there and set up 1 or 2 layers of spikes, and suddenly you don't have to worry about one-shotting everything because they've lost 15% of their health from the get-go. Steel Wing, Stab, Fly, Stab. Secret Power, again, is just normal residual move. Can also cause a status problem. In terms of nature, we've gone with Adamant. Boost that physical attack, lower that special attack because it's not needed. This is the reason we've gone with quite a few minus physical defensive natures. Again, 2 mons that we lowered physical defense in are weak to ground. This thing doesn't care about ground type moves because it's our flyer. And any other physical type moves, it has base 140 defense. Again, it doesn't care. Base 70 special defense, solid. 70 speed, solid. For a steel type, base 70 speed is decent. Obviously, the HP lets it down a little bit, so obviously just keep that in mind. In terms of alternatives, pretty standard alternatives. You can run with Swellow or Crobat. Crobat is arguably one of the best in-game flying types to use in the game. Swellow, of course, we know how good that thing is as well. Does very similar things in terms of has a normal type move, has Fly, has Steel Wing, maybe a different move here and there. Crobat, again, Steel Wing, Fly, Sludge Bomb, maybe again another normal type move in there. The other alternative I give for a Steel type, of course, is Aggron. I didn't put an Aggron in any of these teams. And you guys know that I love Aggron. I think in-game it's very, very viable. I know a lot of people like to run special Aggron in-game, and I always slap my forehead every time that happens because you should never, never do that. Especially when it gets things like Iron Tail and Rock Slide and Earthquake and just so many good hard-hitting moves. The ability, it's Keen Eye. Sturdy is useless in Generation 3 because it only stops Oko moves like Fissure, Sheer Cold, Horn Drill. And the only opponent, I think, in the main series games, if I'm remembering this correctly, is Glacia has Sheer Cold on her Walrein. No, I even think, even though she has Sheer Cold on Walrein, I don't even think she clicks it most of the time. And if she does and hits, that's just really bad RNG for you. Yeah, so Keen Eye, again, is definitely going to be the thing that you want to do. Because again, people don't want to lower your accuracy, because like I mentioned, same with Tentacruel, is Poochanas like to click Sand Attack, and it can be a pain in the ass, so another way to deal with that issue in the game. Skarmory is fantastic. It is rare on Route 113, do remember, you will see a lot of Spinders before you see a Skarmory, unfortunately, but don't hesitate to kill those Spinders, we love those Spinders. Yeah, Skarmory is fantastic, please give it a go if you haven't used it as your fly already. It's our 4th team member, it's Skarmory. On to Pokemon number 5 then, you guys, and we have a fan favourite in Flygon. There was so much stick the last time because I didn't use Flygon. Everyone loves Flygon. I love Flygon. You know I love my dragons, guys. You know I love this thing. I just love Salamence more. Yeah, so Flygon is on the team for our dragon type this time around and our ground type for this region. Moveset wise, Earthquake, Dragon Claw, Crunch, Fire Blast, really nice coverage. Again, it's a mixed attacker because ground is physical, dragon is special. Dragon is special! You're welcome, everyone in the Sceptile team builder that is absolutely killing me over my mispronunciation. Crunch, Fire Blast, good standard stuff. I've gone with a Rash Nature, minus special defense. You're weak to 2 types that are special. I know that sounds really stupid. But you also have a Gardevoir and a Tentacruel with base 115 and 120 special defense. Ice types, you have a Tentacruel to resist, you have a Blaziken to kill them. You don't care about ice types. Don't keep this thing against an ice type. You have a Tentacruel and a Blaziken. Yeah, Earthquake, Dragon Claw, Crunch, Fire Blast to hit the ice types if you desperately need to. Crunch, nice bit of coverage, why not? And then Stab, of course, for the Dragon Claw and the Earthquake. Boost up that special attack because we have 3 special attack moves and 1 physical attack move, and we already have base 100 attack, so it's fine. Plus it's Stab, plus it's Earthquake, for Christ's sake. It's going to do a lot of damage no matter what. So Rash Nature works perfectly here. I know the natures are all a little bit over the place. Normally I very much stick to Modest, Adamant, Timid, Jolly. I've gone all over the place, but I've got theory to back it up, so it's fine. In terms of the only downside that I've ever seen to Flygon is the fact that it's not amazing until you do actually get to Flygon. I know Vibrava and Trapinch still have base 100 attack across the board. They're just slow, and they do take the attacks decently well. So route, the amount of times I'm going to get that wrong. I should say route because I'm English, but I say route because of the amount of American PokeTubers I've watched throughout my entire life. Route 111. Of course, you actually do get this after Skarmory because you don't get this till after the 4th gym when you get the safety goggles. The alternatives, of course. The first alternative I'm always going to recommend as a different dragon type is going to be Mence. It's the best dragon in the game, minus Ray, of course. But Salamence is always going to be that alternative. The other dragon type, of course, is Altaria for you guys to use. It is completely up to you of what one you want to use. If you want to use Salamence. It's amazing. And then our ground type alternative, I decided to go with Donphan. Again, I was on stream and I was sat here thinking, what ground type can I recommend? And you know, I was looking through them and I was looking through the region. I was like, you know what? Donphan. Only ground type, which means Earthquake hits really, really hard. Really high physical attacks. Adamant Nature on that thing would do so much damage. Yeah, so if you want a different ground type, Donphan is my recommendation for this. Maybe swap out Skarmory for Ment and then Flygon for Donphan. That would work perfectly. You still got the flying, the dragon, the ground, all good stuff there. You just lose your steel, but you could probably stick that in somewhere else, maybe Aggron as a possible option. And then its ability is always going to be Levitate, immune to ground type moves. Again, you've got Tentacruel and Blaziken, weak to ground. You've then got Skarmory and Flygon, who are just completely immune to them anyway. So again, those minus defense natures for the ground typing don't mean jack, because you have two mons that completely immune to them anyway. Flygon's fantastic. I will always stand by how great this thing is, and yes, you should use it in game instead of Salamence every now and again, but just to mix it up every again, give Ment a go, give Altaria a go. Use everything. They're all viable. Everything's viable in Pokemon. It's just how you use them, I promise. I put Jumpluff in a team builder, for Christ's sake. Everything's viable. Everything's good. It's our 5th team member. It is Flygon. On to the final team member then, you guys. We have Raichu. I have stood by this thing through the Fire Red, Leaf Green team builders. I will stand here and do it once again. It's the water region. I was like, I need to put an electric type in there. I can't use main again. We've already got a steel type, so I can't use Magneton. Electrode is kind of ass, I'm not going to lie. I know I've just said everything is viable. You can use Electrode. You can use Plus or Minum if you really want to go out there and sort of challenge yourself. My opinion, Mixed Raichu does a really nice job. So yeah, so you get this thing quite later on in the Savari zone. So it is actually after the Flying Gym, which is quite annoying. But again, you've still got a lot of water left to go that it can just clean up and help along with. Thunderbolt, you learn via level up. I think you actually catch Pikachu in the Survivor Zone. I think it already has Thunderbolt, so it's not been something to worry about. This is the thing I've given Brick Break to. Iron Tail and Dig, so 3 hard-hitting physical moves, which is why I've given it an attack-boosting nature. It's already got base 90 special attack. Thunderbolt is stab, so it's going to hit hard. And again, like I said, water region, so it's going to be super effective against a lot of things. Minus that defense nature, again, it's only weak to ground. You have a Flygon and a Skarmory. You can lower this physical defense and really not care, because this thing should never be hit by a ground type move, ever. You have 2 things that completely immune to it. So lowering its already 55 defense doesn't matter. It's literally null and void. Base 100 speed, it's quick. It's going to outspeed everything. I love this thing. Dig is nice, just for a bit of ground coverage if you need it. You can't actually hit ground types with this thing yet, but I've just put other bits of coverage on there anyway. Iron Tail, again, Brick Break. I know we have all those typings on the team. This thing is just a Thunderbolt clicking machine, let's be honest. Thunderstone you can get before, I think you can get a Thunderstone, you can get a Thunderstone in New Marvel, so you can actually get a Thunderstone before you even get a Pikachu. The alternatives, of course, Manectric is my first alternative. It is the electric type I always used throughout all the games. If I have to choose an electric type, I will always go to Manectric. If you haven't got a steel type, like I mentioned earlier, you want a different steel type. You want to swap out Skarmory for Ment, and then Flygon for Donphan. You can then swap this thing out for Magneton and have your steel type. I've literally just changed 3 team members for you for all the alternatives. Magneton is amazing. And then finally, I actually went with Lantern as a different electric type. If you haven't got a water type yet, which you probably should by this point in the game, but if you want something different, Lantern is always viable. Surf and Thunderbolt is all it really needs to click. Surf, Thunderbolt, Ice Beam on Lantern, who's already really thick and takes attacks really well. Lantern is actually one of the best in-game water types. So many good in-game water types in this game. You've got Starmie, you've got Warren, you've got Lantern, so many good ones. Of course, the ability this thing has is static. I don't think it gets Lightning Rod yet. Again, I think that's later generation. This thing's really good. If you want to swap it out for something else, I would completely understand. It's probably the most foddable, I don't know if that's a word, member on the team that you could probably replace with something else. Like I said, Manectric, Magneton, Lantern, switch up the team a little bit. All the alternatives, I've given you literally 3 different kind of teams you could use with Blaziken just through the alternatives alone. But of course, let me know in the comment section below, you guys, what you would like to use. But that is going to be it for today's team build. If you have enjoyed, definitely make sure to smash the like button for me. The reason I'm not doing it like a final thing is so someone can't skip to the end of the video and see all the team members. You can't do that. So I'm actually going to be ending these videos now on the last Pokemon. Just because I can. So if you have enjoyed this video, definitely make sure to smash the like button down below for a show support towards the channel and the series. If you want to check out any other team builders, check the description down below. They're also, hopefully, if I remember to put them on the screen, links to the other 2 team builders, the Swampert and Sceptile team builders. Like I said, if you have enjoyed, smash the like button. Subscribe if you're brand new. I appreciate you guys being here. With that being said, I'm going to get out of here, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!